Thank you guys so much for being here this weekend. We super appreciate it. This is so cool. How often do you guys have the chance to actually be reunited at a convention like this?
Every weekend.
No, the last time there was a large contingency of us was 2019. And it's really great to see everybody, and it's great to see all you guys. So thank you.
So I'm going to put this microphone in the crowd for you guys if you guys want to start lining up, just so we can make sure we get to as many questions as possible. Okay, so I guess my question for all of y'all is, obviously this is such an incredible cast with so many amazing character dynamics and relationships. I want to know if you guys have a particular favorite scene that you guys filmed with your favorite cast members or your fellow cast members.
I'll start. I would say my absolute favorite scene that I filmed was with David in the episode Dear Boy in the water tank, where I take out the cross and I say, God doesn't want you, but I still do. Sometimes on set magic happens, and that was one of those magical days with the two of us, and we didn't even want to leave set in between setups because we just felt like we were in this magical place. We didn't want to ruin it. We were just like, everything's so good right now. We don't even want to go get water. Everything's so good.
Wow.
That's you that already? Yeah. Okay. You know, getting to sing with Tony in the musical episode, highlight for me. I mean, he's an incredible human being, number one, and number two, an incredible performer and singer. If you've seen the man in his kit for Rocky Horror, with it. Enough said.
He has a few safety pins.
Yes, he does. And some really snazzy heels. But yeah, getting to do that refrain in the musical with him was really amazing.
So that's just so hard. I love working with everybody for very different reasons. James was always really interesting to work with. Our characters had a weird chemistry that never really went anywhere. I mean, that just was never on the books, but kind of leaned into it when we had fun doing it. I really, honestly, with Slayers, with her podcast, and sort of revisiting Anya from a different point of view, that crowned it. Being a dog and a monster and myself and interacting with characters I hadn't really had much time to spend with, including this genius over here, and that was really cool.
That was amazing. It was really incredible to get to work with characters that never got to work with on set. We never got to work together either. Everybody, it was just an incredible group of actors. Everybody was so talented and so above and beyond bringing their A game in terms of their work. James and I had an incredible acting chemistry right from the get-go. I was cast and I was paired with the final choices for Spike, and James came in. He actually had a southern accent, and they said we're thinking of Spike being English, and he switched on a dime and became the Spike that we all know. And we had right from his audition, it was the scene with the Anointed One, where we were talking to the Anointed One, but instead of talking to him, we were sort of looking at each other and we leaned our foreheads together and sort of had a moment where it was like, oh yeah, we're talking to him. So we were looking like we might kiss, and we turned out. And when he was cast, he said, oh, we gotta put that in. He has a theater background like I do, so we rehearsed all the time, especially the second season. We got the scripts a week in advance. And we were like, what happened there? Oh yeah, there was this organic acting moment. And so it ended up being really wonderful for us because it became the WB promo, where we leaned our heads in together as if we might kiss. We turned our faces out, and the announcer said, evil has a few new faces. And we were so excited because we're like, yes, that came out of your audition. So it was always like that with James. We were so well rehearsed that we surprised each other on set. We figured from the get-go we were 200 years together. He couldn't be shy about touching anywhere. I couldn't be shy about touching anywhere. And we just really got into it and had a freedom. Which was great. Okay, I know that didn't sound very appropriate.
Oh my gosh, I can't even remember the question. I will say though, I'm up here listening to everybody, and I think that there was something really special about all of us being cast together because we were so young and so fearless as artists. And now I look at okay, what would I do with Glory at this age? I would probably be a lot more reserved and nervous to make the choices I did. So I don't know, there was something magical about that time when we were shooting. Did I have a favorite Glory moment? She had so many good moments, let's be honest. I think overall my favorite episode was the 100th episode because it was about me. And I did get to kill Buffy, and yeah, got to do a lot of stunt work too, which was fun.
Sometimes what you probably don't know is all of these people, they like to get together on weekends and redo some of their favorite moments. Because the process of letting go is just so not gonna happen.
Hi, now that we've talked about your favorite scenes, I was wondering, what is your least favorite scene or episode?
In order, I feel like
I don't have a least favorite, but I remember that Julie and I were shooting when you had a raging flu, and we were shooting this stuff.
Such a good memory. I don't remember shit.
Yeah, so it should be like a new story for Julie. Yeah, it was like 105 fever. Like you were really sick, and we were downtown. It was when we were shooting the fire hydrant, the angel sequence. Los Angeles doesn't notoriously get cold, but it was the coldest, and at night it does. It's a desert, and it was the coldest night of the last 20 years from then. And we were downtown in the middle of the night shooting, and we had to do the sequence where the fire hydrant comes, and I have the burn makeup and everything. And Julie, I felt so bad. You were so sick, so sick. And I, of course, made the mistake of going, I never get sick when I'm working, which, of course, then I got really sick for the next day where we had to shoot the sequence where we eat all the lawyers. So, of course, I had 105 fever for that sequence. But on this sequence, what was...
I felt better that day.
Yeah, she felt much better. She passed it along. But what was crazy about the sequence we were shooting is they said, okay, we're going to do the water, and they sort of showed us in the rehearsal and everything. And I don't know what happened. I think they got excited or something, and they pushed the lever. So we were shooting the very first take. The water was so strong. And they came, and we were just trying to sit upright, and both of us are like not trying to ruin the take. You want to get through a take, so we kept going, and I'm crying. I think I'm going like, it hurts. I mean, I'm like moaning as Drew, right? But I'm trying to keep my emotion going, and we're just trying to sit up with this flood of water, and they yell cut, and the whole set laughed. Like 300 people laughed because it was just so crazy.
They basically waterboarded.
Yes. Exactly. So, but that was a little bit challenging with your fever and everything.
My least favorite, and there's a picture, I think, sitting on my cable of it. When Darla was pregnant, and I was like supermodel pregnant, I said I want to be supermodel pregnant, so I had a pillow. It was a fake thing. And it looked good. But then when they put me on the table and they made this fake belly, that thing was disgusting. It was huge. And it had vein, and I remember the cast. This is on Angel. Sorry, I know this is Buffy. But Prisma and David and everybody was there around the table, and everybody was like, oh, that thing is gross. Why did you make it look so gross? Like, it just looked gross.
I would say anytime I had to be in the makeup, those were bad days. I mean, the West days, great days, but I get really like claustrophobic, and by the end of, not even by the end of the day, but probably 2/3 through the day, I would just be coming out of my skin. I'm like peeling it off, and they go, like, don't do that.
Because you were working like 17 hours sometimes.
They're so long. Yeah, or if it's hot out. But the taking it off was amazing. You know what I mean? They'd heat up the cloth. No, the towels, yeah, my microwave. Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, that was. So it was a good memory. I don't have any bad memories. I take it back. Ari Forever and dogged.
There was one time they tried to put a prosthetic on Glory, like some sort of laceration, and I was like, that's not happening. I'm not doing that. I've been watching these minions come in at like 3 a.m. and get all prosthetic up and then have to stay late. And I was like, Glory, she don't do prosthetics. No.
It was always fun being on set. It's like film camp, getting to do the stuff. Was it a Laurence Olivier? They pay you for the waiting, the work you do for free. Right, Woodzo?
Thank you so much.
No, it was Michael Caine.
Oh.
I think it was Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
Maybe.
Sir Laurence Olivier said, never let him see you act.
That's right. You're right. I'm getting old.
You're all
You look amazing. Oh my gosh, I love it.
I have a question for Julie. Since you were also on Roswell, which one do you like better, vampires or aliens?
I definitely like vampires better. I'm just really honest. I think vampires are sexier than aliens.
I'm wondering if your characters, your Buffy characters, were on an island survivor style, who do you think would last the longest?
Oh, me, for sure. And why?
And why?
Sure. I'd eat it.
Definitely me. Why do you say that?
I'd eat everybody.
Who has the skill? I mean, Drew's so unpredictable, I think people might not see it coming.
Because I could body jump into people to manipulate what they did with the others, and then body jump back to myself and act all, oh, that was wrong of them.
Can you
Get them voted off. Have great, or can he
Yeah, we're
We're island with powers.
wait, I have a
Oh, okay, so let Jared.
Can Glory body jump into a vampire?
It hasn't been tested yet.
I don't think you can do
That's
it.
one for the drama group.
We're gonna workshop that this weekend. Workshop that.
I think Anya, she was just kind of a little brat. But the sweet way, you know, she was very much like, I'm a D. But I mean, I think she'd make it quite. I think she'd make it really far. I don't know if she and gay, but
Oh, thanks. Yes.
I want to make the case that you would have maybe kept the only boy around for like 75% of the day, and then maybe kept me alive to eat parts of, but selectively and slowly. It's just, I'm going to say I would have hung around longer because I'm lunch.
We're not workshopping that.
Thank you. Hi.
You are all incredible.
This air is incredible.
Thank you.
I love it.
It means a lot coming from Glory. Is there anything that you wish you could have done with your character that you didn't have a chance to do on the show?
I would have liked to have been in the musical episode.
Yeah, I would have loved that too. I've been a dancer and a singer or something.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, and first of all, I just want to say I love you all so much. Like everyone in this room, the show was and is such a huge part. I'm tearing up. Oh my god, such a huge part of who I am. And I first watched the show while trying on my communion dress in 2nd grade when it premiered with my whole family in the room.
So we didn't scare you? It wasn't scary?
Not at all. We were a supernatural-based family, so. But it really, like, the way I phrase things, the way I look at things, very much comes from the show and this universe. And so, from everyone in the room, thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
And also, in addition to being a fan, and also a high school theater teacher. So I was curious, if you did theater in high school or college, what parts did you play, or do you wish you had?
I directed a play in high school, and it was awful. It kind of turned me off from directing. But I did a lot of musicals, even though I can't sing. I would say that the role I was really born to play was Marty in Grease.
I just directed that.
Yeah, Freddie, my love. That's the 3 notes I can sing. I played that part like 3 times.
Great.
In high school and college.
I played Frenchie in Grease. And I had a big red wig. I always went all out in high school. I needed to get out of Ohio as soon as possible. Because they were like, okay, we're doing Grease. And I'm like, immediately in Columbus at thrift stores. I played Tessie and Annie when I was really young. Trying to think what else. But the role, I think my best theater role, and this is when my parents were like, oh, I think you do have some talent as an actress. I was like, thanks. It took me graduating NYU and doing that is when I did the national tour of Miracle Worker. I played Helen Keller, and it was really an amazing experience. And the girl who played Annie Sullivan, we had like a very deep relationship. We worked on that. We talk about rehearsing. We rehearsed, and then I was able to do the role for like 8 months. So it was crazy. I had a lot of injuries from that, scars from, that's not how I skinned my knee. I just saw it. There's my skinned knee. That's why I'm pressing like this.
I was not in drama in high school or grade school or anything. I was a professional ballerina, so I danced young and then missed dancing professionally for a number of years. So it wasn't till later that I started studying and then doing a lot of theater, and then was like, oh, I love this so much.
I wanted to be Eponine in my mids, and I didn't get it. No second choice. Not that I say the girl, Kimball. I remember her name to this day. She's... No, I can't eat both. The Kim. And no, she was phenomenal. She's still one of the most pure, beautiful voices I've ever heard. Still to this day. She doesn't actually do it for a living. I'm like, wow, he's such a waste. Like, you're gifted beyond measure. She was absolutely phenomenal. So, like, that's fine. It's yours. Like, I can't. It was always yours. I did sign up for Drama Club, so I can tell you one thing we did. I think we did the Crucible. I don't know. I think it was horrible. It was like unwatchable.
What are you directing next, year?
Oh, we're working on The Importance of Being Earnest. We just cast Six the Musical, 16th edition. Yeah, just a lot going on.
Okay, Woodzo, you want to go last? You want me to go last?
Oh, you go out.
Okay.
Okay, in a charming coincidence, there's a Pippin joke for Holden in Buffy, and that was my first high school production. I was in 6th grade, which made it extra super great because all of the high school girls were, like so solicitous to this 6-year-old dork there. And it was very exciting because the guy who played Pippin had to take me in the stage. I had a pet duck. The duck died. And in the performance, he knelt down next to me and he's supposed to say, "Theo, this is a very sick duck." And he blew the line completely and said, "Theo, this is a very suck dick."
Dude, you should have gone last. That's late.
Now you have to fall.
Pippin and Amber Benson, everybody.
This guy's trouble. I did 1 year of real high school before we moved to Los Angeles and I started acting as like a kid actor. But that 1 year of high school was here in Orlando at Dr. Phillips High School. Yep. I was a servant in Taming of the Shrew. I said Hollow Within really, really well. And then we did The Wiz and I was a messenger. Was very good at that also. And then we did 2 versions of Still Magnolias. They did the main high school version and then the 9th grade center version. And I was Annelle, the Daryl Hannah character. And we could not remember our lines. And so it was a very extended and hard to follow version of Still Magnolias. Oh, there's a hole in her head here with I'm doing my little hairstyle thing. And then it would be like, oh no, she's got diabetes and she's dying. Like, no, we're still in doing the hair section of Still Magnolias, not the dead part. So yeah, so that was my high school experience. Thanks, Karen Rogerio, right? Yeah.
Yep. What was the misplaced line again?
"Theo, this is a very sick duck," which
And then,
I think is a line that occurs in a lot of theater.
yeah, but what was the wrong line?
And the guy said, "Theo, this is a very suck dick."
Well, I know what you're going to be signing the rest of your photos this weekend.
Hi, I'm very happy to be here and thank you all. I was wondering, because Buffy fashion in general is so iconic, if any of you guys had any favorite outfits that you wore on set.
I would say all the period costumes that I got to wear is the corset. I had a real 18th century whalebone corset, and I wanted the costumer to tie it and see how small she could actually make my waist. So there was one day where I kept telling her, tighter, and I got out of the trailer and I had to walk to set, and I had to stop like every 10 steps because I couldn't breathe. And the poor PA who was walking next to me, he was like, "Do you think you should loosen the corset?" And I was like, "No, we are not loosening the corset. That is not an option. I'll move faster." For me, all the period costumes were just so much fun.
I would have liked, I think, the Anya bunnies. That was really cool.
Drusilla had just beautiful wardrobe, and Cynthia Birdstrom, some of the stuff like the sort of black and purple one, she designed it. So I saw the sketches before it came to fruition. All of them were really beautiful. The vampire characters wore the same wardrobe many times, whereas Sarah never wore the same wardrobe. Like I always think it's like the TARDIS, like her closet was bigger on the inside because it was a thing that unless it was for continuity, Buffy was never seen and continuity meaning if a scene happened the same day. So later in that day, she'd be wearing the same outfit, but otherwise she never wore the same outfit twice, which other shows do. They'll be like, oh, well, this is her cardigan and this is her stuff. But the vampires, I was in that red and black bustier, I think, for 20 episodes. But we had many copies of them. We also had copies for the stunt doubles and everything as well. But it was all so beautiful. But the period wardrobe was just incredibly gorgeous. Not the most comfortable always to be corseted for 17 hours a day, but it also helps you because it's what it was like in Victorian times to be,
Couldn't eat and couldn't pee.
And you could recline. That's what you could do.
I loved the Indian-inspired outfit in Restless, where the cheese guy and out made that was really cool. Then the musical episode, that outfit, although that thing would show up how long were we in that episode? For like 3 months afterwards, they'd be like pickups. So you go into your trailer and they'd be hanging. You're like, oh, I guess we're doing pickups for the musical. 3 months later. But yeah.
I think I would describe my experience in wardrobe as a tragic parade of lab coats. And my relationship with lab coats did not begin there, and it did not end there. And it was the greatest disappointment of my career to be constantly be handed a lab coat. So when it did happen that it was a shapeless suit in Buffy, that was kind of a bit of variety. That was exciting. But in Firefly, they gave me a gun. So I think it all really turns around. But the lab coats really were just jacked with it. I didn't really recover from that, clearly. Sorry.
A lot of fun stuff would happen at the wardrobe because often the wardrobe department would get scripts before we would get scripts. So you would kind of go in and see if you could peek at stuff ahead of time and see what was coming up. And I remember on an episode of Angel, Sam Anderson, who played Holland Manners, we had done a lot of theater together, but we hadn't been on the show together. So we were really excited when we got news that we were going to be on the show together. And we were actually at wardrobe on the Paramount lot, and he was in right before me. And so I got the script while he was going in, and I started paging through, and it was the reunion episode. And as I'm paging, I'm like, oh, this is great, this is great, this is great. And all of a sudden I said, oh no, Sam. And he's like, what? He comes out and he's like, is it good? Do we get really good stuff together? And I said, well, you want the good news or the bad news? He's like, well, what's the good news? I'm like, the good news is it's really a cool episode. He's like, what's the bad news? Well, we eat you. But he's like, what? And I go, I think we're only going to have this one episode together. Then we looked at it. We start paging, and I'm like, but it is a supernatural show. You can come back. And that's how we found out in wardrobe. We were like, yay.
Carl, I am about 2/3 of the way now through the Slayers podcast that Amber wrote, and a couple of you were in with her. Emma, the 3 parts you're playing have had me laughing throughout. I hope it finds a life somewhere beyond Audible.
You should have seen her in the booth. Seriously? Because she didn't stop and do one character net. She was going back. It was brilliant. It was amazing.
That's what I was going to ask, is did you actually get to work in person together, or were you recording separately or acting in the play?
All together. Anthony was on a Zoom, but everybody else was there. But he was in the room too in his sequences.
Yeah. It sounds bloody.
It was the funnest time, honestly. You too. I were so fun. Like ridiculous. Like I didn't get to work with Juliet at all, and to be able to like do the scenes of her, like I sweated. That like is how like hot it got. Not because of the heat, but because of her. She's so incredible. It like when she looks at you and says she wants to do naughty things to you, your whole body just like melts.
It's available on Audible, folks.
And then when she goes dark and then you get her and James together, it's just mind-blowing.
Palpable. It's so great.
Yeah. Juliet never breaks.
She never
breaks.
And it's like gnarly. She's so dialed in, and I'm like, you're genius.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
No, she's always 100% in the character. Never breaks. And the rest
in between I break. I'm not like she did. We're not like brave. But then you see me. But then you'd have questions still confiting people behind.
But in the scene, she's so committed that like she is the character while we're doing the scene, which is incredible. Got to direct this guy in a movie called Drones. Yes. If you haven't seen it yet,
Everybody has to go watch Amber's Drones. Absolutely.
Yeah. Wizzo stars in it, and he's incredible. He channels young Bill Murray throughout the whole movie. He's so good in it. It was on like Showtime, so you can find it out in the world.
They are at time. But before we wrap it up, Juliet, do you mind talking about what's happening today in this room at 5:30, I believe, yes?
Oh, yes. Oh, So I'm doing a panel here today at 5:30. So I don't know if you guys know about my just launched podcast. It is the first of its kind Buffy Rewatch podcast with a cast member as your guide. The podcast has everything that we all love. It has behind the scenes stories from every episode. We have cast members coming on. We have all the nostalgia and everything like that. But we also have new content and new entertainment every week. So Drusilla shows up every week. And we've been producing almost like these radio drama sections in it as well. So we have like the missing scene that could have been in every episode. So we've already had Darla show up. We've had the Master show up. We've had Giles and Willow. So what we're doing here at 5:30, and hopefully you guys will all come back, is we're also, if you want to sign up, we're going to have randomly, the con is picking 10 fans to come up on stage, and we're going to do a live record where we're going to talk to you guys, and it's going to be broadcast worldwide, so you'll be on the podcast. And anyone who's shy, they can come and sit in the audience instead of coming on stage. But super excited to have you guys here at 5:30, and it's going to be awesome.
And I just want to mention, Juliet asked me to do an episode today. I'm not going to be doing today's episode, but I'm super excited.
Julie's already come on. We have a lot in the can. Or
I was going to say may or may not have done.
May not have already recorded an absolute brilliant episode.
Well, thank you guys so much. This has been such a joy. Can we get one more big round of applause?